I was like, yeah.
Okay. Attendance. So everyone probably noticed, good morning, that there's some change in the air outside. Probably heard about it. There are a lot of different interpretations and explanations and prophetizations. But let me just do the attendance and then I'll tell you. Where is it? There it is. One of the things you could focus on, and it's also interesting, the timing. What is going on? Okay, you don't want to cooperate. We just had a Hayom Yom, the 9th of Sivan. If anyone wants, if you have a Hayom Yom on your phone, you can look it up. If not, you take one here. Hayom Yom 9th of Sivan says like this: the world is in need of purified atmosphere. This is from a little bit over a week ago. Purified air comes only through words of Torah. Words of Torah offer protection in general and for each individual in particular. The division of the 6 orders of the Mishnah for memorization is intended that when you walk on the road, the Mishnah or 2 recited from memory, wherever one may be, whatever sort of place he may be, will illuminate the bond between Hashem and the Yidden. The letters Mishnah and the same letters as Neshama. It is extremely difficult to find the words to express the tremendous benefit of Hashem's help in general and individual protection that constant repetition of Mishnah will bring. There are no words to describe the tremendous gratification one thereby gives the Creator. May He be blessed. So, obviously, there's a message here that the world needs purification of air. So purification of air comes from saying words of Torah, especially outside. Yeah, it's interesting that it's exactly this time of the year. Okay. Yes.
I also want to say, I want you to go out of order. Well, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, drinking water on a gashmistic level is also helpful.
It also purifies.
Yeah.
Rabbi Majeski, which words of Mishnah could we women especially say would be good for us? Maybe Pirkei Avos, the Psukim.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start on page 8. Page 8. And he's talking about, first he explains how it is with tefillah, with davening. And he said that davening is mumata l'mayla. So we know that in Chassidus, it breaks up everything almost, that it could be in these 2 directions. Either things go mumata l'mayla or mumayla l'mata. Either they go from above down or down up. The truth is it goes in both directions. The question is which one is the initiator. So davening, the initiation comes from below. I daven, I request, and I ask Hashem for the brachas, and Hashem responds. So whether we're talking about Hashem's response and giving me brachas begashmias, Hashem responds by inspiring me beruchnias, it all comes as a result of my initiating through my davening. That's the avodah of tefillah. It comes through a susul tata. Torah is different. Torah in general is something which is considered mumayla lamata, because what is Torah? It's Hashem's wisdom. There's no way in the world that a human being could possibly comprehend Hashem's wisdom. And the only reason it is possible is because Hashem took his wisdom and he brought it down to our level that we should be able to learn it, understand it, as we see it in Torah. But he says, nevertheless, there is an aspect of Momata L'mayla in Torah as well. What is that aspect? That the only way to really achieve in Torah is through Yigiyah, through hard labor. If a person is blessed with incredible talents, incredible faculties, and as a result of that, they don't have to really make an effort. They don't have to really struggle. Everybody tune in if you hear anybody ringing the door. We'll tell the master bell buzzer to buzz in. Yeah. So they will not be able to achieve only through Yigiyah. So there has to be an effort from our part. Now he's going to give another reason why it's called Mata L'mayla. So we're on page 8, the line that begins with the word limtze, to find. There's another thing about Torah. That's Mata L'mayla, Shabazem Meshana Haragila Shaloi. By learning Torah, the person also changes their habits. The Kamaimer, like Chazal say, you can't compare a person who studies Torah 100 times to a person that studies Torah 101 times. It's not just a difference in one time. He enters and has a whole new different status by adding that one time. If he learns Torah and reviews everything he learns 100 times, his title is Eved Elokim, Eved. And if he learns 101 times, he's called Oved. The difference is Eved implies that he acquired a certain title. Oved means that he's still proactive in serving Hashem. Eved doesn't imply that it's something that's going on now. It implies that he did something to earn a certain title from the past. So what is that? A person who learns and reviews and studies 100 times is not considered an Oved Elokim, that he's now proactively serving Hashem. How could you say that? He learns Torah, of course, does mitzvahs. He's reviewing whatever he studies 100 times. Why is it not an Oved Elokim? So the reason he gives the Reishus Aveda, well, the Shanas is the Regilas Shaloi. The main thing in Aveda is to change your nature, change your habits, change the things that you're used to. Which means even if a person has good habits and has a good nature, that's not really serving Hashem. The question is why? Imagine a person who loves kindness, loves to be compassionate, loves to be caring, loves to nurture and help other people. Wow, is that an Oved Elokim? The answer is, without the Rebbe explains in Tanya, here we see how precious it is to Hashem, and how important and how significant it is what we do in terms of our own avodah. If Hashem created me with a nature to be kind, then in a sense, when I'm acting in a kind way, it's not me doing anything. It's like taking a man made out of metal, a tin, turning whatever, and he walks. So he's programmed. He's not doing anything. It was all programmed. So basically, Hashem created me, programmed me a certain way, and that's what I'm following. In a sense, it's like the Malachim. They were created a certain way, and they act that way because they were created that way. So if I act the way I was created, even though it's amazing and it's good, and halabai, the whole world will be filled with such people, but at the end of the day, it's not my accomplishment. It's not something that I'm doing, something that Hashem does. When is it my accomplishment? How do I know that it's mine, that this is my contribution? It's my contribution if it's not something which comes natural, and it's something that is challenging on some level, and then I do it. I know that this is something I did, that I wasn't born with that nature. The Alter Rebbe goes a step further. What if I wasn't born with the nature to learn, But I've been learning and learning and learning to the point that it became second nature. Now it's natural to me. It's no longer a struggle to do this mitzvah or that mitzvah, to be learning for many hours a day. It comes natural. The Alter Rebbe says, once it becomes natural, again, you're not serving Hashem. Now it's natural. So when we say, you hear this expression very often, that we have to go out of a comfort zone, it's not chas v'sholom how Hashem doesn't want us to be comfortable. We have to, do something which is uncomfortable. There's some sort of mitzvah being uncomfortable. On the contrary, Hashem wants us to be happy. Hashem wants us to be as happy as we could be. That's, of course, if this Hashem b'simcha, and the person shows me b'simcha. Yeah, when we say uncomfortable, it's only used as a indicator. How do I know that I'm doing something myself? This is my accomplishment. This is my action. If it's something which is challenging and it's a struggle and it's uncomfortable, then I know that it's not natural. So we see from this how important it is to Hashem, the in of avodah. Someone is learning Torah 10 hours a day, and another person is learning Torah 10 minutes a day, but the one who's learning 10 minutes a day never did it before in his life. It was challenging for him because he couldn't decide whether he should do this or not do this, and finally he pushed himself to learn. So those 10 minutes that he learns Torah is, in a way, more precious to Hashem than the other person's 10 hours. Because the 10 hours is like a malach, an angel. He's been doing that all his life. The 10 minutes, that's the person's accomplishment. And that's the whole purpose of creation. So next time you have some sort of a challenge, and you're saying to yourself, should I make the effort, not make the effort? Stop and think for a second. The whole creation was for this purpose, to overcome a little challenge. So in my life, this is really bigger than almost anything else that I'm doing, because there's this challenge. And this gives Hashem the greatest pleasure. This is the emes of the true dira b'tachtenim, that I am doing something. There was a story yesterday that was making its rounds around the world. So maybe you already got the story, yes?
Whoever's buzzing can stop, because I'm hearing somebody's buzzing like every 2 minutes. Okay, you can stop.
Okay, I'll take it back. Thank you very much. There was a story circulating with this guy, and if you tell me if you all heard it, I don't have to go over the story, but he was telling the story that he was in his car going on the FDR, right, at Erev Shavuos, a few days ago. Well, FDR is a highway in Manhattan, and he sees a Hasidic Jew who apparently had a flat tire or something, he was stuck, and he's thinking, should I stop to pick him up? Should I stop to help him out? But it was late, he wants to get home, and he's thinking, anyway, these people, meaning the Hasidic Jews, make him a little bit nervous. It always triggers something in him which is not so comfortable. And I didn't want to say the word that he doesn't like them, but he just said it triggers something in me which is not so pleasant. So I just went right through. I felt a little bit guilty, but I kept going. And then he gets to the Palisades, that's another highway by New Jersey, and he sees a man, a Hasidic man, his wife, and a bunch of children with packages standing outside as if they were like homeless people. And he's thinking, again, this is not my thing. It's Erev Shavuos. Who has time? I really got to get home. But they look like they're homeless, and he decided he's going to stop. He went around the other side of the highway, came to them, and he said, can I help you? So the person says, not really. I don't think you can help us. What happened was that he didn't have registration. Cop stopped him. He was on the way to the mountains, to upstate New York. He was hired to lead the davening in a hotel somewhere. He's a chazan. And it was 6 o'clock, like 2 hours before Yom Tov. And the cop took away his car. He was begging him. He wouldn't listen. He took the car away. So literally, he had to take all the packages out. So he called an Uber to go there by Uber. When they heard that it's upstate, they canceled. He called another Uber. He called Lyft. He called this. Everyone canceled. So he's stuck here. He doesn't know what to do. So the guy says, okay, take my car and go to the mountains. I'll get an Uber to get home.
Wow.
And he says, what are you talking about? I'm telling you, listen, you got to get there. I'm fine. Take the car. He said it was a beautiful car.
Wow.
And both of them are talking. Both of them sent a voice message. One telling his part of the story, the other one telling his part of the story. So he says, so if you want something, you want my driver's license, you want my ID. I don't need anything. Just go. After Yantav, call me back. This guy was a sort of a Sephardic Jew, more modern Jew, and this was a Hasidic Jew. And he said, there's something in me makes me uncomfortable, but I did it because that's what you're supposed to do. You have to have hours to throw. And he sent them off, and everything worked out. So I'm thinking that he's literally describing the struggle, like, I don't want to do it, but I really should do it. It's the right thing to do. Imagine, take your car and just send it off. No ID, you don't know who, what, when, where, and how. But of course, it was an incredible, incredible act of Ahavas Yisrael. Enough of a thing that Hashem should send Mashiach just for that alone. But this is something which is avodah. If I find that feeling, I want to do this. But if somebody that you naturally love and naturally want to help and naturally want, it's beautiful. But this is not true avodah. Yeah.
We know that Escafia brings down godly light into this world.
Right.
So, but this is not a Escafia. It's like you have a struggle and then you said that you do want to do something. So it's like the opposite of Escafia. So does it have the same effect of bringing the RNA safe?
Why is it not? The story is not a Escafia?
I guess Escafia could be with either way, either not doing what you should do or not doing what you shouldn't do.
No, Escafia could mean not doing, resisting temptation, or doing something which I'm not in the mood of doing, and I do it anyway. That's Escafia. Escafia is not only
not
resist,
doing
right. Escafia means bending my nefesh habahamis. Anything I do, I mean, nefesh habahamis is kicking and screaming and saying no, and I say no, you're going to do this anyway. That's Escafia. Eating delicious food on Shabbos is a mitzvah, but I couldn't call it so much Escafia. But when you have to eat maror on Pesach, maybe that's a little Escafia, Basically, whatever it is that I don't want to do, and I do it anyway because that's what Hashem wants, that's Escafia. So therefore, this is the true avodah, and it's really the beginning of avodah. And he brings the pasuk. If anyone wants, I could send it to one of you, and you can send it to everybody else to listen to. Amazing story.
Yeah, could you send it to me too, Rabbi Majeski? I don't have WhatsApp.
Okay, because we know that the Chumash, right in the beginning, has Parshas Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha begins with the words, Lech Lecha, Hashem tells Avraham Avinu, go mi'artzecha, from your land, mi'ladetecha, from your place of birth, and Beis Avicha, from your father's home. And the question is by Mefarshim, and almost every mimer of any one of the Rabbeim, the order here is not understood. What does it say? Go away from Artzecha, your country. Then it says, Mi'ladetecha, your place of birth. And the third thing is from your father's home. What's the order here? If anything, first a person goes away from their place of birth, from their father's home, and then he leaves the country completely. Not the first thing is you leave the country completely, and then Mi'ladetecha, and then Beis Avicha. So it's explained in Chassidus that the reason why it's in this order because it's alluding to something spiritual. Avraham Avinu is being told, you're on a journey. You're going to Eretz Yisrael, the Holy Land, which means you're going to come closer to Hashem. How could you become closer to Hashem? Remember, we spoke about this last week. The only way to move forward is by letting go where I was before. So first, there has to be Lech Lecha, leave. To leave my land, leave my place of birth, leave my father's home. What does it mean, Baruchnius? Mi'ladetecha, the word Mi'ladetecha comes from the word Midas Tivium, natural Midas. That's what that comes from. And the reason is because Midas are born from the Seichel. So that's Mi'ladetecha, place of birth. Beis Avicha, your father's home. So intellect is called Beis Avicha, means to go away from your perspective and your value system in your head, the way you saw things before. And the third thing is to leave the earthly and physical material things and your midas tivium. So midas tivium is another word for, in other words, miladcha could also mean habits, things that you're used to. The word limud in Hebrew means to learn, but in a certain context, it could also mean habits. To just go away from our habits, from our midas. The Gavin Beis Avicha showing seichla nikla ade seichla nushi, and nikla belashnoilon veltecha nochas, to let go of the worldly perspective on things and to take on Hashem's perspective on things. It's not about understanding A, B, or C, but as we explained last time with Baba Yerushalmi, it's about changing perspective. My whole approach, the way a different lens, I look at things in a different way completely. There's a lot of things regarding what is considered nice and what is considered not nice. What is considered basically moral and ethical, and what is considered immoral or unethical. Based on the way the world's perspective of things, that which is ugly is considered beautiful. They say this is I guess, cultural, this is the way we do things. For example, things that people are not really true, they're being false. They do things or they say things and they really don't mean what they're saying. I guess like flattering other people. The only purpose is that other people should see me in a certain way, should think of me in a certain way. It's not even about doing something which is emes. And sometimes things that are really beautiful, people think of it as ugly and as despicable, but really it's something which is the opposite. In other words, the way people look at Torah, make fun of certain things in Torah, and on the contrary, things that are absolutely, we look at it, it's animalistic. These are the things that they praise and they look at it as a beautiful thing. But Tamadabrahu, the reason for this is because people follow their nature, follow their habits. For the most part, all these things are just physical and materialistic. And therefore, the first step in Aveda doesn't mean in being from, it means in self-refinement, is azivas regilishale, to let go of those things that I do because it's a habit. And by letting go of those habits, the person becomes a vessel. So that means that in addition to learning Torah, that it has the advantage that by learning Torah, I bring godliness into my life, into the world. Torah also refines a person. When you learn Torah and you learn and understand what Hashem says and all the halachas of Torah and everything, the wisdom in Torah, and especially if I learn Torah in a way that I go against my nature, then this has an impact on refining my personality, that I become a much more refined person, both in the way I act and also in the way I think. There's a famous story. There was a very famous rabbi who probably wrote, I don't know, maybe 60, 70 books. He was a Chassidus Yid with a beard, and he wore kapata and payas. He looked like everybody else who lives in Borough Park or Williamsburg, but he was also a doctor, professor. His name was Rabbi Tursky. You must have come across some of his books. Brilliant man. And he was once on a train, and there was a Jewish woman sitting next to him. And she looked at him and said, with such, what should be the right word? Like Not as it's like it was despicable. Like, look, you're in America, you're living amongst people, and she goes on. She said in Yiddish. She spoke Yiddish, and she tells him how it's like you're desecrating Judaism, the way you get dressed. Why can't you be like everybody else? Goes on and on. He's quiet. When he finishes this, he says, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, I don't understand a word you said. I'm Amish." She was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I just want to say that it's really beautiful that you keep your tradition." And then he really gave it to her. You know? But actually, that's true. When you see people doing things, you say, "Oh, this is a tradition." When a Yid, this all of a sudden becomes ugly. So it's part of being unrefined and just judging things all by the Gashmias and Chumrias and so on. So Torah has that advantage that it refines us. And from that perspective, it's Momata L'mayla. I was going to explain this further. Gimel. Bir ha'inyan. Explain this more. Nesaba Kodesh Baruch Hu liyis le'dir b'tachtoim. Hashem desired to have a dwelling. Told me that in 24 hours we're going to eliminate you. Even then, the Yid in him didn't question. So, yeah. Ram Razal, so our sages say, Sheikov. It's based on a pasuk. The pasuk in Shir Shirim says, "Shoikav amudei sheish miyisodim al adnei pos." Gomer al Shoikav comes from the word desire. Zeh ha'olam. This is the world, our physical world. Shenishtekek Hakadosh Baruch Hu levarosid. Hashem desired to create it. Amudei sheish, pillars of 6, literally means pillars of marble. Shenivra l'sheishes yamim. It was created in 6 days. Miyisodim al adnei pos, and their foundation is Adnei Paz. This is, which means, I guess, strong foundation of pure gold. These are the parshias of the Torah. And it says, Bereshis bar Elokim, Beis Bereshis. There's two things that are called Bereshis. Yisrael Nikra Bereshis, Yisrael are called Bereshis, and the Torah is called Bereshis. The Vishvil Beis, Madregas Bereshis Eilu, because of these two things that are called Bereshis, Nivra Eilam, that's why the world was created, which means the Tachlis, HaKavana, the Brias Eilam, the ultimate purpose of why Hashem created the world. She Yisrael Yilmedu Torah, Yidden should learn Torah, but the way you study Torah down here in the physical world, with all the challenges, with all the Yetzaharas, with all the temptations, and in those circumstances to learn Torah. Otherwise, they could have given the Torah to Malachim, and they would learn Torah on a higher level in the spiritual world. And Dabka by that, Nishlam Akavana the Bria Salem. Through this, we fulfill the ultimate purpose of why the world was created. As it says, the Torah is light. Called in Yani Ha'olam Yi'al Torah. It means that everything in the world should be done according to Torah. And then the world can exist. So in other words, Torah and the world are not two separate things. The whole purpose of Torah was because the whole purpose of the world was so that we should illuminate the world with Torah. And therefore, Torah sustains the creation. In fact, Chazal say, Tanai isna HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Ma'aseh Bereshis. When the Eibishter created the world, he made conditions. And he said, Im Yikayim Yisrael Torasi, if the Yidden will observe my Torah and they'll accept it in the future, mutu, then fine, we'll continue. And if God forbid they won't accept the Torah, I will take this world and it'll revert back to chaos and nothingness like it was in the beginning. So that means that this is a general statement. What happened?
Sorry.
Well, the door is still standing, the building is still standing. That means that on a personal level, the same. Torah sustains our personal life. The person lives their life according to Torah. Their thoughts, their speech, their actions are followed by Torah. That'll bring stability into their life. That'll make their life a constructive life, a productive life. If Chas v'Shalom there isn't Torah, it becomes Torah v'Avodah, it becomes chaos. And Kiyum HaTorah Wasis HaMitzvah Kiyum Yi'api Torah Davka. Everything I do, even observing a mitzvah, has to be based on the guidance of Torah. The mitzvah, Lashon Tzavsa v'Chibur, because the word mitzvah comes from the term connection. When a person observes a command of a commander, it creates a bond between the mitzvah, the commander, and the one that's being commanded. Here's a mashal. On the Rainbow Muchash, we see explicitly when you give instructions to someone, two people, and one tells another person what to do, this can only make sense when these two people have a connection between each other in the first place. If not, where do I come to tell you what to do? Like a father, he gives instructions to his children, directed and tell the child what to do. Or a master speaks to his servant and tells him what to do. So when the Eibishter is telling us what to do because there's a connection. And therefore, when we follow the Eibishter's instructions, we are reinforcing that connection. So by doing a mitzvah, and especially by doing a mitzvah, which a hiddur mitzvah, which means doing the mitzvah in a more enhanced way, that creates a deeper bond between me and Hashem. even though we're saying they're both connection, but each connection is of a different nature. You can't compare the bond between a master and his servant and the bond between a father and his child. Even in each one itself, there are many levels. There's a certain advantage in other words, the relationship between Hashem and the Yidden is described in many different ways. And we have this in the davening on Rosh Hashanah, the famous song, Ki Anu Amecha. So it says, Hashem, you're our king, we are your subjects. You're our father, we're your children. You're our shepherd, we're your sheep. You're our this and we are that. You're our planter and we're your planting, and so on and so forth. There's a place where it says Hashem is our teacher and we are his students. Hashem is the husband and we are the wife. Hashem is the mother and we are the children. Hashem is the father and we are the children. Why is it? Because there are many different kinds of relationships in the world. And each relationship has something unique. There's something unique and something special about the relationship between a father and a child, which is different than other relationships. And there's something unique about the relationship between a mother and a child, and something unique about a king and his subjects, and something unique about a teacher and his students. Each one has something that the other one doesn't have. Like the organs in the body. Each organ has a certain plus that the other organs don't have. So therefore, generally speaking, Yidden are divided into two groups, Bonim and Avodim. Either compared to children, and we're relating to Hashem like our father, or like a servant relating to Hashem as our master, as our king. So he's saying that there's an advantage in one over the other. And the Maila of Avodim, what could be a Maila in a servant over a child? What could be greater than the relationship between a child? And the answer is because by a servant, there's the Maila of Kabbalah's oil, and that you don't have by a child. In other words, with a child, the connection is much deeper. It's a natural connection, and it's more of a connection of love. With a servant, it's more a connection of awe that he respects and looks up to this master, and therefore he follows what he says. But the advantage is Kabbalah's oil, the acceptance, unconditional loyalty and acceptance. And of course, every Yid should really have all these different things. And we should have Kabbalah soil, we should have the love, we should have the intellect. But generally, there's two things, Bonim and Avodim. But one thing is the common denominator in both, and probably in all these things, and that is that the Tzad HaShaveh, what's the common point in both of them? Shadekim Atzivur Mischaber Miskasher Mikayim Atzivur Ima Mitzaver. That when you observe a command, then by doing that, this creates a bond between you and the one that commanded you. And you're giving Hashem pleasure. Even though you might think, I could give Hashem pleasure. He's infinitely greater than me. How can I give him pleasure? What I do should be insignificant. But that's what it says in the Torah. Kamaimer, Nachas Ruach Lefanai Shamarti V'Nasir Etzeni. Rashi brings this in Chumash. When it says, Reach Nichoyach, it's a pleasant odor, a pleasant scent for Hashem. When you bring a carbon, Rashi says, what's pleasant? The fact that I asked my Yidden to do something, and they did it, gives me pleasure. Hashem clearly says it gives them pleasure. It's true that we're totally insignificant, but Hashem chose to derive pleasure from what we do. But now he goes a little bit into the difference between the Aveda of a Ben and the Aveda of an Eved. And again, there are certain people, the way they serve Hashem primarily is like an Eved. And there's certain people, the way they serve Hashem primarily is like a Ben. But the truth is, every one of us should have within us both. Certain aspect of Ben, what? I wouldn't say it's Yira Ba'ava, or you can say it's Kabbalah's oil and Ava. We need both. Yeah.
What about like husband and wife?
Also has an advantage that does not by Ben and not by Evan. It's a third advantage.
Are other people that also serve Hashem like that?
Yes. And again, really, we should all have all of these things. But let's say, for example, Rosh Hashanah is a time to be more of an Eved. This time of the year is more time for Ben. This time of the year is more the relationship like husband and wife. And because once you understand what each relationship emphasizes, then we can see where and when it belongs. Yeah.
In Shir Hashirim, it says Achosi Rayasi, like a sister for like husband and wife. Like
No, it's not husband and wife, it's a sister, which means sometimes we refer to Hashem as our sister. And sometimes Hashem refers to us as our sister, sometimes he calls us our daughter, sometimes he calls us our son. All
so what's the
these,
sister?
it's another kind of relationship.
Where-
Actually, there's a mimer from the Rebbe on this week connected to Baaloscha, where there's a medrash says that Hashem loves the Yidden, and first he called them his daughter, then he called them his sister, then he called them. And there's another passage where Hashem's like our mother. The mother put the crown on our head on the day of our wedding. Who's the mother? It's Hashem. So the Shekhinah has different names. So each name brings out a different point. And that mimer, the Rebbe actually speaks about what's the avodah of a sister, what's the avodah of a mother, what's the avodah of a daughter.
Which mimer is this?
The mimer is called Rani v'Simcha Bas Tzion.
Thank you.
Rani v'Simcha, because that's the Haftorah of this week. Rani v'Simcha Bas Tzion. Okay, to be continued.
Thank you.